Hello friends, welcome back to Fastcuts. Wars are as stale as humankind. Wars were their right from using hand-till panzers, bombs, etc. Lots of wars have been brought out which changed the natural dynamics. So, spotting a full stop about war there. Let's move to the crux. It is a true story, based on the courage of a little infantry platoon of 28 Russian soldiers that held the German armored, as well as the infantry division for a great time. The movie is titled as Pamfilov's 28 Men. Kim Druzyanin directorial was produced through crowdfunding, thereafter Russian government also helped in its production. As there are a lot of characters, there will be some confusions while going through the movie, kindly let it off. The movie right away brings us to a group of soldiers having some discussion. A person says that mental strength has an edge over physical strength, then he asks for somebody who knows to drive a tractor. He was a lieutenant. Now a person pushes another soldier and orders him to raise his hand as he knew to drive tractor. He resists initially, but falls for it due to the other's persuasion. The other person's name was Moskalenko. The soldier stands up and says he don't know how to use a tractor, but he knew to use some other machines. Lieutenant replies that it's enough and his duty is to dismantle the machines of the Germans. The lieutenant then draws a tank and starts detailing it. Moskalenko joked about it, and the other soldiers started laughing. The lieutenant felt frustrated and warned him. A soldier named Kolechkov came forward and defended Moskalenko. He says that his jokes are a relief during the war. The lieutenant replied to him by saying that it may be correct, but it was not the right time for a joke. Kolechkov agrees and repeats the same to Moskalenko. The lieutenant restarts describing the tanks. He said that the tanks can be destroyed with a sharp shot, and they will put it up first to tire the opponents, and afterwards they will send out better weapons, and in hope that they may not resist the latter. Then, a person entered a room with some firewood. A Baldi who stood in the next room was the general of Russian army. He asks the guy to bring a horse for him to go somewhere. At the same time, the lieutenant brings a case of vodka to the round table of the soldiers. Moskalenko again jokingly says that he'll have 2 of them. The lieutenant said that it will be used as Molotov cocktail for the war. Meanwhile the general left, and on the other hand the lieutenant continued his explanation on the attack and where to throw the grenades. Lieutenant then commanded Moskalenko to put up a demonstration of the tanks. They all start to dig trenches and initiates the plan. Meantime Kolechkov was reading a news of his own valiance. At the same time, the soldiers who were working were so tired and had doubt over the lieutenant's intentions. Now in the night, the soldiers were seen practicing their attack. We can also see the lieutenant scolding one of the soldier for asking crap questions. Meanwhile the general was having a meeting with the army heads. They were all tensed. They shared their concerns about the lack of army numbers and the irresistible plan of Nazis. Then, the scene turns where all of the soldiers prepare themselves for the war. Few of them gets into the horse cart. An emotional track has also been developed when a soldier's wife provides him with a lunchbox and he fades away into dark. There we can see her misery and a feeling of uncertainty. Afterwards, the lieutenant was seen sending directions to the soldiers. He said that the Nazis were closing in to capture Moscow, and they should prevent them from doing so. They already did the same previously. He further said that this time the Nazis are coming with much more armed forces, and everyone should be ready for any events that may occur. He injects patriotism and boosts them up. The army leaves for the battlefield talking about soldiers of many other countries. Meantime a commander was seen talking to lieutenant and another guy. He orders them to be alert and be ready for any attack that happens. The soldiers hid armor-penetrating guns to destroy panzer rollers of German army. At the same time, 2 soldiers were seen dragging a machine gun through the snow. They were searching for a place to fix it for optimum utilization. While the other soldiers were digging trenches, a superior officer comes in and commands to make it fast and says they'll have to move to another destination once they finish it off. The soldiers ask where are they heading to up next. The officer replied by saying that they need to install wooden guns to misconstrue the German forces. He further makes them know that when the Nazis starts attacking the guns, we should counter-attack and make them in back foot. Then, we can see soldiers placing the machine gun in a heap of snow. The scene shifts intensely between preparations of soldiers at different places. Moskalenko was assembling the wooden guns as told earlier, and he directs his fellow soldiers not to cover it much. They were much amused by this idea and talk to each other about who introduced it. Another soldier who was with them tells that it was first set up British forces. Meanwhile some soldiers were digging trenches. A soldier explains to another one about the dignity of homeland. He further tells him that the Germans are attacking them for such land. The other had the shades of a Mongolian, so let's call him Mongolian to identify. He replies to him that it's not for land cause they already had surplus. The other forced man also agrees to it. Here, we should notice the fact that the soldiers who goes out for war doesn't even know what's the purpose. After a few moments some soldiers see a German plane flying above. One of the soldiers makes others notice the same and asks if they can see them. A soldier replied to him by saying that they can see every bits and pieces using their binocular. Then he asks why it's surfing around without getting near them. The soldier again replied and said that the plane's body is just crap and it can be shot down with a normal rifle. The soldier out of curiosity checks the same and fires the plane. One more soldier joins him. After some time, two soldiers brings a set of iron wire and says that it was provided to him by a farmer, and when he asked why he didn't wanted it, the farmer replied by saying that the world is much beautiful without such iron-wired fences. The soldiers also shared their concern about food. Then the commander gets a call from General, and he passes the info that the next day, Germans may attack them. The general continued and said about the provision of extra panzers. Now starts the raid. The Germans shot down all the wooden guns placed by them. The soldier hiding inside the trenches wonders how they hits it so accurately. 2 to 3 farmers was also watching this, far away. Meantime a soldier without adequate protection was watching all these bomb attacks, out from the trench. Another soldier comes nearby and scolds him to have enough defense and crouch down. After demolishing all the guns, German tanks move forward. Sensing all the events, a soldier runs near a commander and informs the same. The director portrays a scene which is highly fierce. The scene swaps between the German panzers rushing in and the Russian soldiers getting ready. The Russian army hits some of the panzer tanks using their cannons and causes some damage. All of a sudden, German Rafale jets enters the scene. Russian soldiers realizes that their cannons will be harmed shortly. It happened as expected. They informs the commander the same. Swiftly some Russian armed men attacks the panzers using their armor-penetrating guns. This time it causes some major damages. The plan looked working out as they thought and the Germans stepped back. Meantime a soldier in ecstasy shares his happiness and says that he didn't thought they'll give up this quick. The other soldier replies by saying that it's not over until it's over. All the soldiers looked in a bit overconfidence. We can also see another soldier boasting, inside a trench. The army then moves out the men who got injured. The commander contacts the general to make him know about the events that happened and does the same. The commander then forecasts a shell attack from Germans as they have to cross through them before night. He continues further and says the bigger attack is yet to come. It happened as he thought. The Germans hit back very severely. Russian soldiers started getting killed gradually. They panic and then we can see a soldier giving courage to his fellows. He said that if they determine that they won't be killed, nobody could stop them and they could survive the attack. Another soldier disrespected his words and told him that everything he said was utter blunders and they may get killed on the way through. On the other hand, a lot of soldiers were injured and killed inside the trenches. Meanwhile, the general tries to contact to get info from the battlefield, but he couldn't do so. The shell attack comes to an end and we can see just chaos. Lots of soldiers were killed and a lot were injured. The Germans doesn't stop there. They again rushes in with their panzer tanks and the rest of Russian army alive. Prepares for one last raid. The commander somehow informs the general that only 28 of the soldiers are alive and only 2 armor-penetrating guns and some weapons were there. He pleaded for help, but the general looked helpless. The commander then runs out and directs them to form a group of 3 and attack the tanks so that they could destroy 9 of them. He then says that they are the last ray of hope of their country and they shouldn't give up. Mosklenko was still alive. He gives his colleagues some grenades and explains the way to attack them. The second round of the war begins here. The Russians starts to shoot down the rollers of the panzers using gun. They swap themselves in the order of getting knocked out. Now, the opportunity came up for the soldiers who were waiting to use their machine guns. They burst the bullets, and a huge number of German soldiers were killed. Then the panzer head turns to the soldiers who were operating the machine gun and knocks out them. All the soldiers was in disbelief, and their last hope of a comeback got closed down. All that remained back with them was a few guns and grenades. But they didn't stop their resistance. They attempted to bring down every tanks that get near them. Touching scenes follow by when a soldier who got shot tries to throw grenades without giving up his life. The viewers may feel sympathy instead of goosebumps. Maslenko and his mate can be seen trying to attack a panzer, but while doing it his friend dies and it doesn't stop Maslenko from continuing. Quickly a German soldier gets out from the panzer and attacks Maslenko, but he got saved by another Russian soldier. The tank was getting closer and closer. A soldier, when trying to throw a grenade, gets hit by gunfire and knocks down. The Germans had their foot on Russian soil. Meantime the soldier next to him gives the gun to the dying soldier and picks the grenade up and throws. The gunshot soldier shoots the Germans with the gun, but the scene gets emotionally down when he dies while trying to do so. All the soldiers gives their bloods and bones to stop them sneaking into their land. They further demolished another panzer tank using the armor-penetrating gun, but the soldier passing the bullets got killed, hence the German soldiers breaks the rest of the guns. Another soldier at the same time knocks down into the trench. Noticing it, the German soldier shifts the panzer left and right in the trench. The soil around it slides and falls inside, but the soldier somehow crawls out and lobs a grenade into the panzer. The scene is so breathtaking and terrific. Now, another Russian soldier rushes in and kicks the panzer-riding soldier inside and kills them using Molotov cocktail. The scene of vengeance has been portrayed there. Things were getting out of control. All the guns were short of bullets, while much more Germans reached into the land. But they were ready to give their last breath for the war. Meanwhile grenades also ran short and the box was empty. As their last attempt, they threw stones at them. The Germans thought it was grenades and laid down, but later they understood it was just stones. A senior officer of the German forces was watching all of these far away. He was ready to send much more forces to capture Moscow. German soldiers were walking in towards victory, but something unexpected happened. The viewers gets into the peak of excitement as we get to know that only one of the person operating the machine gun was dead. The other gets up and gunshots lashes in continuously, which kills ample amount of Nazi soldiers. Meantime we can also see the Russian commander dying. The German army backs out as it was totally unexpected, and they were not sure how many Russian soldiers were left. Now, things settle down. We can see two soldiers having a chat. One of them was who operated the machine gun. The other soldier expressed his gratitude to him as he was sole reason they were alive. He says that the 28 of them together brought down 14 panzer tanks. He was in pride. The viewers will have an emotional goosebumps as the movie comes to the end. The movie wraps up with a beautiful shot of the 6 soldiers that were alive. To the outside world very little is known about the valor and sacrifice made by the men of the Red Army in World War II. While the West glorified themselves after the war, there was hardly anything to hear from the Eastern Front. A commendable work by the entire crew to put together a film on the 28 men who fought and gave everything for their motherland. Salute to the brave hearts.